in here. This is a time of the year where hopefully everybody's getting together and having a good time. And we had some questions about immunity and what people should be doing.
Yeah, all valid questions. I mean, this is the time of year, right? Vitamin D levels start to drop. Usually, we got more viruses out there floating around, all different kinds. We have obviously lower vitamin D as well because the angle of the sun is dropping a bit due to winter. And then obviously more sugar consumption, more treats, more candy, more sweets from Thanksgiving and Christmas, etc. So all those things are going to have a major effect compromising the immune system. Plus, people got their end of the year deadlines with work. So, a lot of emotional stress, buying gifts, all the family obligations. So, all of these stressors, some may and could have a major effect on compromising your immune system. So, our goal today is kind of to talk about all these things and different strategies that you can work on.
Yeah, you know those old classic Christmas songs. They'll say, "This is the most wonderful time of the year." But in general, most people, I would argue, are more stressed and they're not as happy this time of the year, which is kind of sad. It really should be a happy time. And so I think first I want to dive into the impact of stress and the immune system, if I may, and want to talk about the influence of stress, whether that's related to sleep, blood sugar, emotional, whatever. That is really going to impact a lot of things, but most importantly, it's going to affect your immunity. And so we know we've seen countless cases where people are going to go from a 40-hour work week and they go 50, 60 hours. We work with a lot of attorneys, CEOs. We work with executives. We work with teachers. We work with real estate agents. And we always see there's this kind of I call it like the hustle effect, where someone will go real hard, like you said, kind of the end of the quarter sales thing. They really got to get their numbers, or we got to finish this before the semester ends if they're like a college professor. And then all of a sudden they have a crash from it. Now, if we can kind of come in with some strategic adaptogenic herbs, those can be helpful for the immune system as well. So I think the easiest one just right out of the gate is going to be reishi or reishi mushroom. I think that's going to be your best adaptogen that I would argue has some good stress and blunting effects, but it's going to be great for boosting up your natural killer cells, which are going to be really important for any type of illness that you may be exposed to.
100%. So of course, like you kind of highlighted a couple things off the bat here, just all of the immune stress due to the holidays, all of the obligations, all of the food stressors. So, I mean, of course, the first thing I think we can kind of look at is, all right, don't compromise on sleep, make sure you're getting enough sleep, and then make sure your diet is at least reasonably well. And I kind of tell my patients, if you know you're going to be eating a whole bunch of treats or some not so nice food, try to always find a good replacement. Try to find something that's going to be more healthier on the sugar side, on the dessert side, on the treat side. So you have a healthier substitute, especially if you have kids, right? We know once your kids get sick, they tend to be like the little petri dish that carries viruses and bacteria throughout the family, right? So you want to keep your kids healthy. So kids don't know any different. Just try to choose a healthier cheat. So I'll tell you what we're doing for the holidays. I went to a local True Food kitchen and we got some of their squash pies. And we're getting them for some of the holiday desserts. So they're going to be a healthier kind of paleo version, cassava type of crust, lower sugar, but clean ingredients. We also used a couple other pecan pie and pumpkin pies that are just really clean ingredients, very little added sugar. And then we try to make a lot of our sides are going to be paleo, right? So good, clean, heirloom, pasture-fed turkey, organic mashed potatoes, good quality Kerrygold butter, like not too much on the carbohydrate side. And we know all that glucose, all that carbohydrate, right, is going to convert to glucose in our bloodstream. And glucose tends to have a similar molecular structure as vitamin C. So it can bind into that vitamin C receptor site and it can negatively impact our immune system. Can also abnormally affect cortisol. So if you can get your glucose levels and your glycemia under control, that has a huge impact on vitamin C and your immune system. So first strategy is kind of look at the desserts and the treats that you're going to have around for the family and just try to find a healthier substitute for all the core ones and try to look at it as, 80, 20, 90, 10 in regards to kind of you being on point versus you being off point.
Yep. Good point. And then beverages, I mean, we do a lot of herbal teas. I'm always just brewing some tea. So I think if you have somebody who's not really into tea, or if you're just not a tea person, look at something like a hibiscus tea with a little bit of monk fruit or stevia. I mean, that's delicious. You won't know, and your friends and family, they're not going to know if it's not like a juice. I mean, some of the hibiscus blends I've brew up, I mean, it almost tastes like juice. I mean, the kids just absolutely love it. Even my 18-month-old drinks hibiscus tea. So I think something like that would be smart, and just keeping you away from all the corn syrup. I mean, it's crazy how, you know, you still look at the table and it looks like we're still in 1990. You'll see the Coke and the Diet Coke and the Pepsi and the whatever. It's like, no, we don't want that. There's definite an impact on sleep, stress, blood sugar. It's all connected. So it's really easy to derail yourself, but it's so easy to dial it in. So what I would be doing, I would be doing a gram a day of some reishi mushroom. I would be doing a gram a day of some cordyceps mushroom, which is going to be great for energy production, but also just as kind of an adrenal adaptogen. And then with some of the diet tweaks you're mentioning and going to bed, I mean, that's the simple thing. You're going to be off to a good start.
That's a big one. So, I mean, I just say get the food right, keep the glucose under control. The next thing on top of that is, low hanging fruit's going to be things like vitamin D for dog, vitamin C for cat. These are all going to be super helpful things. Vitamin D has a major effect on modulating the immune system, right? TH1, TH2, it affects the T regulatory cells, which can modulate your immune response. Also, vitamin D produces this antibacterial peptide called cathelicidin, and that can have a awesome impact on bacteria that you're exposed to. So vitamin D is great. Vitamin C, like we chatted about, is wonderful. You can always do things like glutathione, or if you want to save a little money, some N-acetylcysteine, and that can have an effect on glutathione. And glutathione is wonderful at modulating the immune system as well. Especially NAC is very helpful for mucus production and postnasal drip stuff, and which can help with a lot of cough stuff as well. So N-acetylcysteine and glutathione is wonderful. I'm taking some reishi mushroom here right now. Reishi has a couple of compounds in there. It's got the 1,3 beta glucan in there. It's got the various polysaccharides. It's got things in there called triterpenes. And triterpenes actually deactivate virus replication. And so it's very nice because it can, one, enhance your immune system, your TH1 immune system, which is kind of the natural killer cell immune response, but it can also decrease virus replication. And so a virus works by getting into your cells and they replicate. Things like zinc decrease virus replication. Things like glutathione decrease it. N-acetylcysteine decreases it. So these are all powerful nutrients that you can use. Reishi, the triterpenes, decrease it. So if you can do things that naturally decrease that replication, it gives your immune system a huge advantage.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And then with the vitamin D, I believe you and I have access to like an at-home professional finger spot prick blood test where you could check and confirm your levels of vitamin D. However, in most cases, we're going to be running comprehensive blood panels on people. So if you're listening and you're like, well, I don't really know where I'm at or what I should be doing dosing wise, in general, fall, wintertime, anywhere up to 6, maybe 8,000 IUs of D3 plus. We have professional formulas we're using where they have a little bit of K1 and K2 added as well. And then you could just confirm after 2 to 3 months of supplementation with your blood. You want to be, I would say somewhere 60 to 80, I think is smart, but at least a minimum of 30. I can't tell you how many people we've seen initially where their vitamin D is in the single digits or in the low 20s. That's a very, very common spot to be with that. I mean, look at people, they don't spend much time outside anymore and they're covering too much of their skin. And now, as you mentioned, this time of the year, when we're talking in late November, you've got the angle of the sun, where if you're farther north than basically Atlanta, Georgia, it's almost impossible to get any vitamin D except for maybe a couple of hours in the middle of the day. But once we get into the deep winter, just the angle of the sun, you just can't do it unless you're in like South Florida, basically South Texas.
Exactly. Now, a vitamin D, kind of a good rule of thumb is you can take 1,000 IUs per 25 pounds of body weight and then retest usually within 1 to 2 months. If you know you're low out of the gates, I typically recommend doing whatever 1,000 IU per pound of body, 1,000 IUs per 25 pounds of body weight times 2. So if you're like 200 pounds, right, that's going to be typically 8,000 IUs times 2. So like 16 to 20,000 IUs for a month. And then bring it back down to the general recommendation of like that 5 to 8,000, right? Layer. And again, after that first month, you may want to retest. That way you can kind of get your levels up fast test, make sure you're good, make sure you're not over 100 or so. Again, vitamin D is a fat soluble vitamin, so it accumulates over time. But when you pull it out, it also drops slowly over time. It's not like a B vitamin or a vitamin C that's water soluble. It's a fat soluble vitamin. It takes a while to kind of, it can increase pretty fast, but then takes a while to decrease it. So sometimes getting it up to 100 or so and then kind of pulling back a lot, even if the level that you're at may not be enough to keep it there. You may be at 100 or so in December, and then the time March hits, you're like at 70. That's cool too, because then
Yep.
spring's coming back and then you're going to be getting more sunlight. So that works too.
Yeah, that's good advice. And then vitamin C, I mean, it really depends on where you're at with your bowels. I mean, we use a lot of different blends of vitamin C, which kind of help move the bowels too. So generally, I'm going to be 2 to 3 grams a day. I don't see any issue with that dosing. Sometimes we go a little higher, and sometimes we're at a gram a day. So I think I'd say 1 to 3 grams on average would be about right for vitamin C. And we're going to do a mixed ascorbate if possible. So we're trying to avoid using just straight ascorbic acid. We find that, especially just that by itself, it doesn't do much. We really like to see some of the citrus bioflavonoids in there, the quercetin, the rutin. Those are the things we use. So if you go to, I don't know, Walgreens or just generic store and get vitamin C, probably just ascorbic acid by itself, probably not going to absorb much. And so we've tested thousands of people via urine organic acids testing, and we always see low vitamin C. It's a very, very common occurrence. And so I would argue a mixed ascorbate, like a professional formula that we carry, is going to be much, much better.
Exactly. So you like the ascorbate, and that's the one that's reduced, correct?
I like to do the mixed ones. So like a sodium ascorbate, magnesium ascorbate, calcium ascorbate, those three together work awesome.
Yeah, I like that. That makes a lot of sense. That's cool. We talked about vitamin C. We talked about some medicinal mushrooms. I have a blended formula called Immuno Boost, and that is a really good one because that's actually it's Immuno Supreme, and that has some really, really good nutrients in there that are going to be amazingly helpful. And that's going to have like echinacea in there. It's going to have echinacea. It's going to have some astragalus, which are really good for modulating the immune system. They'll have some mushrooms in there. So it'll have some reishi. It'll have some shiitake. It'll have some cordyceps in there. Also some monolaurin. Monolaurin's excellent because that's very helpful at decreasing virus replication. Monolaurin can kind of come in there and it can digest the virus envelope. And the virus envelope is like a cloaking device the virus uses to hide from the immune system. So as soon as the immune system can tag the virus, it's easier for the body to now go after that virus and destroy it. And so by decreasing that virus envelope's ability to hide it, monolaurin can be used in a very helpful way to expose that to the immune system.
Yeah, I love monolaurin. We both got animals. I hear my dog barking. I hear your cat meowing. It's like the farm life over here, isn't it?
Yeah, no, totally. Absolutely.
So we hit on the sleep, we hit the stress, we hit the mushrooms, we hit the vitamins. You know, I think just a good methylated multi is good. I manufacture one called True Multi. I believe you manufacture a professional multi as well. Just getting a lot of the B's and Bravo are going to be important because with the stress of whether it's just your day-to-day life, your work stress, the emotional stress, whatever's going on with you, you're going to burn through your B's pretty quick. And we're going to measure those via urine. But your average person, if you're just someone listening, you're not actually running organic acids testing to confirm this, just trust us. We've seen thousands of cases. I'll tell you, B vitamins are going to burn up quick. So it's okay to supplement those. And your pee may go highlight or yellow for a little bit. That doesn't mean you're wasting your money. You're just going to pee out the excess, and then your body's going to get calibrated, and you should just have, you know, relatively normal urine. It may always be a little more yellow with the B's, but that's not an issue. And that, like I said, doesn't mean you're wasting your money.
Yes, 100%. So we talked about vitamin D. We talked about the reishi. We talked about glutathione. Vitamin D is in dog. I talked about monolaurin and how that kind of helps digest and break down the viral envelope. Let's talk about astragalus. Astragalus or echinacea or golden seal. These are wonderful herbs that have amazing immunomodulating effects. So I like astragalus as well. It can do a couple of things. It can decrease virus replication. Usually these herbs do kind of they have like two major mechanisms. They enhance the immune system, usually a combination of Th1, Th2, tends to support more Th1, but they also can help the Th2 side in where they actually make antibodies. So you can help the natural killer side, Th1, or you can help the antibody production side. Usually antibody production side comes in a little bit later in the game. So if you want to avoid getting sick, it's going to make a bigger difference if you're enhancing the Th1, because that's kind of the faster acting immune response. Now, longer term, supporting Th2 is very helpful because you can have what's called cross-reactive immunity. So your Th1 immune system may have seen previous viruses in the environment, and it can mobilize antibodies faster. Even though those antibodies may not already be there, you may be able to mobilize those antibodies faster because the Th1 immune system has seen similar viruses in the past. So you may get a faster mobilization of these different antibodies. And so, yeah, so my product is the Immunosupreme one. And a couple of the ingredients, we have the echinacea in that one and the astragalus, which is wonderful. Also, andrographis, very similar. Golden seal, very similar. Monolaurin, we talked about monolaurin. The different medicinal mushrooms, cordyceps, shiitake, maitake, reishi, these have effects on supporting the Th1, and also the triterpenes help deactivate the virus, right? So what does that mean? Virus has to replicate to start creating symptoms, right? And if the virus cannot replicate, you deactivate the replication process. Now, not a big deal. Your body can keep it under wraps. And then, of course, things like zinc are going to help with virus replication. So I'll put a link down below to my product, Immunosupreme. I know you have one similar to Evan. We'll make sure that's down below. And these are things that we clinically use with our patients that work really, really, really well.
Yeah, berberine is a good one too. I mean, there's a lot of
Yep.
papers on anti-influenza activity of berberine and reducing viral replication using berberine. So for those listening, if you're doing any kind of antimicrobial protocol with us, a lot of times we're using blends. Like in particular, one that I have is called microbiome support number 1. I use that a lot for gut infections. So any kind of bacterial overgrowth issues. But guess what? The cool thing about herbs, unlike drugs, is you're killing multiple birds with the same stone. So we could be coming in with the berberine addressing the bacterial overgrowth, but then we're also reducing viral replication. So I think that's a great one. Berberine in isolation would be fine, but something like the microbiome support as a broad spectrum, that'd be smart too. And for your gut, I've got some DGL in that product. So that's going to be giving you a little bit of gut healing. If you're eating some stuff that you may be irritating your gut by, that'd be a good insurance policy. And then what about enzymes? Shall we hit on enzymes at all?
Well, I mean, you can do systemic enzymes, which could be helpful for just kind of breaking down viral envelope as well, or helping with stagnant, coagulation, right? If you have increased coagulation, a lot of clotting, poor blood flow, enzymes can be helpful for that perspective. Also, maybe with biofilms, right? Resistant bacteria have biofilms. What other what were you thinking of enzymes for in regards to supporting the immune system outside
Yeah,
of that?
I was thinking like there's a couple that we use, like there's nattoserozyme, there's
But are you thinking
lumbrokinase.
about it from a biofilm perspective or a coagulability thing? How are you thinking about it?
Yeah, good question. Probably the biofilm piece, because I've had
Yep.
a lot of people with resistant infections where we'll come in with a biofilm support and then that kind of gets them over the hump. So lately I've been using a lot of different ones. Beyond Balance has done a great job making some particular biofilm products. You have to use us, a professional, to order it for you, but we've done good with those. And then there are some other professional companies. I've been personally experimenting with some lumbrokinase, and that's a much stronger than something like a serapeptidase. And I've noticed a big increase in blood flow. Like my hands are much warmer using lumbrokinase. So I know it's doing something from a circulatory perspective. And I would argue that when you're taking all these herbs and mushrooms, if you have good blood flow, good circulation, that's going to deliver the nutrients everywhere.
That's the key. So when you get really inflamed, usually there's a lot of poor coagulability. There's a lot of poor circulation. There's increased coagulation, right? Coagulation is when the platelets kind of stick together and they kind of clot, and you get more fibrinogen hanging out, right? Then more fibrin, more fibrinogen, because I think it goes fibrinogen to fibrin. So fibrin are like the clots, so to speak. The more fibrinogen and fibrin you have, the more clots you have, the decreased blood flow you're going to have. And so a hallmark of inflammation is just a lot more sticky cells. And so if you can make those cells a lot more smooth and less sticky, you do that with a good anti-inflammatory paleo template. You do that by keeping your blood sugar down. You do that by keeping inflammation down from grains and other inflammatory foods. Hydrating, adequate good fats like fish oil, right? Evan mentioned the enzymes also help. Also ginger. Ginger is amazing. Ginger actually has antiviral qualities. Go into PubMed, type in ginger or zingiber, which is, I think, the technical term, Z-I-N gibber. and you'll see all kinds of studies on inflammation reduction. You'll see viral particle replication or viral particle adhesion. Part of how viruses have to work, they have to stick to a cell, receptor site, they have to stick to it. And if that virus can't stick to it as well, right, or you're able to flush it off with ginger or good antimicrobials or biofilms, well, that can really, really help the virus from causing problems. It can really prevent it from causing problems. So ginger is great, good antiviral, helps decrease viruses from sticking to the receptor sites. Also, it's very anti-inflammatory, supports good, healthy digestion and motility as well, and can really help with irritation in the throat. So like coughing and things like that. Ginger has a natural tussin quality to it, right? Tussin meaning it kind of helps with the coughing, and so does, decreasing the mucus with like a good N-acetylcysteine, and some good, really good sinus flushes with xylitol and bicarb and minerals can also decrease any bacteria or fungus junk up in the nose or even going down the throat via a post-nasal drip issue.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. Ginger's amazing. I mean, we talk
Yep.
about it. You see it at the grocery store. You look at it. You're like, is ginger really that special? Yeah, it really is. I actually had a double bag of ginger yesterday with a little bit of raw honey, and it was absolutely just so delicious, so therapeutic.
Excellent. Well, anything else you wanted to highlight off the bat? I mean, a couple things you can do. There's some good essential oils that are out there that you can kind of drip into your water and just kind of get a homeopathic dose in your water throughout the day. That's helpful. I know there's a couple brands. doTERRA has one called On Guard. And then I think Young Living has one called Thieves. The common theme in a lot of these is usually some kind of clove or cinnamon or some kind of like an orange peel-ish kind of thing. And these are very antimicrobial, very immune supporting. And you can always kind of put a low dose in. If you have a little throat issue going on, you can always kind of gargle with it too. Or if you're doing some oil pulling, put a couple of drops in the oil in your mouth and kind of switch that around and give it 5 or 10 minutes. And that can kind of hit the back of your throat and clean out any nasty bacteria or biofilms that are hanging way back in your throat. It can be very helpful. Just make sure you spit it out afterwards.
I think diffusing would be smart too, right? Why not? You
Yep.
could diffuse, put some of the oils into the air. Just be aware of your pets. I don't remember what particular oils there were, but I did have a client who was getting super into the oils, and she was diffusing something and her dog got super lethargic, had to take the dog to the emergency vet. I can't remember. So just do a little research, essential oil dogs diffuser. There was a couple of stories about, particular ones. So don't go too crazy pumping your whole house full of it and making your dog pass out or something like that.
Correct. Yeah, that makes sense. That's smart. The only other thing I would say besides the essential oils, I think we could also talk about diffusing glutathione. There are some really good reduced kind of soluble glutathione compounds out there. I have one called by TheraNaturals is really good. I'll put a link down below if you guys want to see it. I think you have a link as well to it, Evan.
You mean nebulize. You said diffuse. You mean nebulize? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, kind of the same thing, but yeah, in general, basically a diffuser is kind of for the systemic environment. A nebulizer is going to be something like this that you put in device like this.
Don't you love that? Is that nebulizer not the best one? I'm telling you, man.
It's great. I gotta clean it out a little bit, but you have the battery here, you have the face mask here. You just connect it in like this.
Yeah, the one he's showing for people listening on audio, this is one by Philips. It's a great.
It's called InnoSpire, and then you basically just take the 5 milliliters of a saline solution. You put it right in the top here, and you add your 200 milligram glutathione reduced, and it's you can't do it for any glutathione. The one that we're talking about is by a company called TheraNaturals. We'll put the link below, and that is a glutathione that's reduced, that's mixed with sodium bicarb. So then when you add the saline solution to it, it actually becomes soluble. It becomes total. It diffuses into the water 100%, and then you close the cap, attach it to the battery pack. And then you can do a 5-minute session or so, breathing right in. And that's helpful if you have active lung issues. It may not be necessary if you already are in good shape. You may just be able to take some oral glutathione or oral NAC. But if you start to have active issues, it can be helpful because you can really increase the saturation right into the lung area, to the alveoli, and right into that respiratory tree.
Yeah, I've used it with several clients who've had lung issues, and it's been great. COPD and other issues, it's been wonderful. So it's a great tool to have. Like you said, you probably don't need it if you're super healthy, but if you got something going on, you may whip that out.
Yeah, it's active. And you may want to even look at it using it for a really good silver as well. You could do a silver, maybe 10 ppm or less on there. It's very controversial, so kind of do a little research on that. I don't just recommend that because a lot of conventional doctors don't like it. But if you're doing a silver that's very, very small, it could be helpful if you have an active viral infection in the lungs. But do your homework on that first, because you don't want to be nebulizing silver that is a large molecule size. You want to make sure it can move to the cell adequately.
Yep. Good advice. Well,
Any
I think
experience
that's
nebulizing silver, by the way?
I've done it. I haven't. I wouldn't say I would know. I would notice a ton from it. You know, it's not one of those things where it's like, whoa, I feel incredible. But I've done it. I've mixed it. I've done the glutathione silver combo. You know, but I wasn't in too bad a shape, so I can't say that silver was necessarily a magic remedy for me or not. But I have done the silver up the nose, and I do believe that has helped as well for some of the sinus colonization that can happen.
You can do silver up the nose. You can also do silver orally. You know, any of the side effects that you see about silver, like the argyria turning blue, that has to do with very large silver molecules and usually kind of a home brew. If you're dealing with a high quality silver brand made by like, a tier 1 supplement company, like the one that I make in my GI Clear 3, or like a Sovereign Silver, or like some kind of a Silver Soul, or some kind of a nano silver, the particulate is very, very small and your body's going to have no problem excreting it. It's the very, very large silver molecules that are going to be problematic.
Yep. Well said.
Okay, anything else, Evan?
I don't think so. If people need help clinically, please reach out. We're available worldwide. If you want to get a hold of Dr. J at justinhealth.com, worldwide consult. So even if you just need a call, hey, I need help, I'm concerned, I need help to boost myself up, what do I do? We're here for that, but we love helping people get to the bottom of their issues using functional lab testing to find and fix the root causes of your issues. So rather than coming in and doing the spot treatment of a little bit of this, a little bit of that, the reality is, hey, here's what's going on under the hood. This is what's putting you at a disadvantage. So we're going to help fix you. So justinhealth.com. And for me, Evan Brand, evanbrand.com. And we'll be back. So stay tuned.
Yeah, put your comments down below, everyone. We really appreciate it. Comments below, give us a like, give us a thumbs up. And if you want to dive in deeper, we'll put the links for you guys to make it accessible. Hope you guys have an amazing holiday season coming up. We'll be in touch. Take care, y'all. Bye now.
Take care.